Hi, Fiction Recapped here. Today, I will explain the animated mystery movie called Coraline. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In the beginning of the movie, we see the Jones family moving into a new apartment, the workers bringing in their things. A cat watches the scene from the backyard, seeing the family's only daughter, Coraline, walking outside, playing in the garden. It follows her, but makes a noise that causes her to throw a branch at it, and then quickly running off in fear. She ends up going further into the forest near her house, the cat catching up to her. She asks it about a well she's looking for before getting interrupted by someone on a motorbike. The two collide, and it's revealed that the person is Coraline's neighbor, Wybie, the grandson of the owner of the house the Joneses moved in. The two banter a bit, Coraline showing hostility, while Wybie reveals that his grandma would never allow people with kids to move in, but doesn't reveal why. He also shows Coraline the entrance to the well before getting called home by his grandma. In the next scene, Coraline is in her house, telling her mother about yesterday's events, trying to get her attention. But her mother is too busy with work, telling her to go unpack. Her mom also gives her a look-alike doll of her that Wybie left at her doorstep. Coraline sounds uninterested, but still takes the doll, going to try and talk to her father, who also seems busy and tells her to leave him alone and explore the house. As she's walking around the house, writing a list of everything wrong in it, which she considers is almost everything in the house, naming windows and doors boring, she comes across a door behind a wallpaper in one of the rooms, and asks her mom to unlock it. When she does, the door is sealed with bricks, disappointing Coraline. That night, the family are having a dinner before Coraline, who disliked what her father made, goes to sleep, saying goodnight to the picture of her friends and the doll that Wybie left her. Sometime during the night, she's woken up by a mouse and goes to chase after him, ending up in the room with the door. This time, when she opens it, the door seems to lead to some tunnel. She excitedly goes through it, only to end up in the same room that looks flipped over. While being confused over what happened, she hears someone singing from the kitchen. As she walks in, it ends up being her mother, with buttons instead of eyes. Coraline is weirded out by this, her apparent mother telling her she's her other mother and that she should call her other father for dinner. Coraline has dinner with her different family, which seems much tastier than what she had with her real one, even getting mango milkshake and cake that says welcome home. Coraline is confused about it, but her other family moves past her worries, even showing her her room that has talking toys. After she falls asleep, she wakes up back in her real house. She sees that the rash she got while playing outside yesterday is gone, due to the other mother putting mud on it in her dream. In the next scene, she's telling her parents about the dream, but they dismiss her, her mother telling her to go visit her neighbors that are actresses. When she walks out, she sees a bunch of misplaced mail delivered at their doorstep that belonged to an ex-Chernobyl liquidator turned gymnast, Babinski, who owns a mice circus. They briefly introduce each other before he warns her not to go through the door in her house. She's confused but moves on to go visit the two actresses she originally wanted to see. At their doorstep, she's welcomed by their 3 dogs and April. Miriam makes her tea, and April offers to read her tea leaves, which would tell her her future. April warns her that she's in terrible danger, telling her to be careful. Coraline, creeped out by these events, leaves their apartment where she meets up with Wybie and the cat who are playing in the fog outside. She asks him about the doll and he says that he had it before, also saying how his grandma doesn't allow him to go inside Coraline's house because she believes it's dangerous, due to the fact that her twin sister disappeared inside it when they were younger. That night, Coraline once again sees the mice that lead her to her other world, where she once again has more fun than in her regular life. During dinner, other Wybie comes to their house, also having buttons for eyes. Coraline is annoyed to see him before her second mother says that she made him unable to talk. The two make their way to Babinski's house, who invited Coraline to his mice show. Inside his house, Coraline and Wybie have a lot of fun, eating cotton candy and watching the circus show. The two loved it and tell other Babinski that, who tells her she can come anytime she wants. In the next scene, she's back home, obviously disappointed. Once again, she tells her parents about the dream, but they dismiss her, her father leaving to go to work, and her mother dragging Coraline clothes shopping. Coraline is disappointed that her mother refused to buy her colorful gloves, even though she promised to make it up to her. Once her mother leaves to go grocery shopping, Coraline goes to unlock the door and sees the tunnel. Ecstatic that it wasn't a dream, she goes inside, not seeing the same cat watching her from the window. Once she gets to the other world, she's welcomed by a grandiose dinner and a new outfit the other mother made for her, as well as an invitation from the two actresses to go downstairs. When she's done eating, she walks out and sees the cat that followed her. When she speaks to it, he suddenly starts talking, explaining that he's been going in and out of the other world, playing games with the other mother, who apparently hates cats. Coraline defends her, but the cat ignores her, saying that this world isn't as good as she believes. Coraline brushes him off and goes to visit the two actresses who prepared a performance. Inside, she sees an audience full of dogs and Wybie. At the end, her other parents wait for her, taking her home. Meanwhile, Wybie looks distressed for some reason. Inside the house, her different parents tell her that she can stay with them forever, but there's a trick. To stay there, she needs to put buttons in her eyes. Coraline is clearly not up for it, making an excuse that she needs to go to bed, wanting to go back to her real life. She goes to sleep, hoping to wake up in her real bed, but realizes she's still in the other world. Coraline tries to open the room with the door to go home, but realizes it's locked. She goes to her other father's study, where he tells her he can't help her because he can't do anything while the other mother isn't around, only to get silenced by the hands from the piano. She runs out towards the garden, where she sees the cat. The two walk further into the forest, seeing the unfinished part of the parallel universe. The cat explains that the other mother only made what she believed would impress Coraline, and that her intentions aren't as pure as they seem. They come across a mouse from the circus before the cat kills it, revealing that the mouse was actually a rat. In the next scene, Coraline manages to use an umbrella to open the room with the door, only to see other mothers sitting in it. After Coraline tells her she wants to go back home, she forces her to apologize, and after she refuses, starts turning into a gigantic-looking monster, dragging Coraline away, pushing her into the basement, telling her she will be able to come out once she learns to be a good daughter. Inside the basement, Coraline sees the ghosts of kids the other mother previously took. They ask her to, after beating the mother, try and find their eyes so their souls can be freed, before she gets pulled out by Wybie, whose mouth was sewn into a forced grin. He helps her find a door and sends her away before the other mother reaches her. Coraline successfully comes back home but sees no one's in the house. The doorbell rings and she goes to open it, believing it's her parents, but it ends up being the real Wybie, who tells her that the doll he gave her was actually his grandma's late sister's, and that she's mad about it. Coraline tries to explain to Wybie about what's happening while looking for the doll, but he thinks she's crazy and runs off. When he leaves, Coraline tries to contact her parents, but isn't able to, and goes to visit the two actresses, where she tells them what's going on. They give her an object that will help her find her parents, and she goes back to the house, deciding to sleep in her parents' room, clearly missing them dearly. She's woken up by the cat, who shows her that her parents are stuck in a mirror. In their room, she finds dolls of them, indicating that the other mother took them, and goes back to the parallel world to save them. The cat comes with her and tells Coraline to challenge her to a game, which is the only way to beat her. After being tricked by the other mother into believing she's the real one, she's once again trapped inside the other world. Coraline tells her that they should play a game in which Coraline will look for the eyes of the ghost children and her parents. They agree that if Coraline loses, she will stay with her, but if she wins, the other mother will let everyone in this world go. The mother gives her a clue about the whereabouts of the eyes, which leads Coraline to the garden, where she fights off the plants that attack her, before the other father attacks her. She manages to beat him and finds the eyes of one of the kids. Next, she goes to the house of the actresses, where she finds the second pair of eyes after fighting off candy-like figures of them. At last, she goes to Balbinski's circus, where she finds Wybie's clothes hanging from the railing, with no sign of him. She isn't able to beat the mice inside the circus, losing the object that the real actresses gave her that helped her find the eyes and passing out. Once she wakes up, she realizes that her time is up and that she lost the game just when the cat shows up with the last pair of eyes. Before she can go look for her parents, the world around her starts to crumble into nothing, and the two barely escape into the house, where she sees a disfigured version of the other mother. She destroys the object that helped her find the eyes, and Coraline bluffs, saying she knows where her parents are, pointing at the door. While the mother goes to unlock the door to prove her wrong, the cat finds her parents in a snow globe at the fireplace in the room. Coraline throws the cat at her in hopes of escaping, but before she can run away, the room starts falling apart, and Coraline falls into what it seems to be a huge spider web. Luckily, the cat manages to pull out the other mother's buttons, rendering her blind, which helps Coraline have an advantage. She runs off, managing to get behind the door, but not before the evil mother catches up to her. Thankfully, the ghosts of kids help her and she barely escapes, closing the door just in time. When she's back in the real world, she sees her parents and hugs them happily. They unfortunately don't seem to remember anything. In the next scene, the two are putting her to bed. Coraline happy she's finally back. Before she goes to sleep, she sees the cat by the window and apologizes for throwing him at the other mother. He lets her pet him and the two together fall asleep. Suddenly, she's awoken by blinding light of the ghosts of kids that are finally free, who tell her that she's still in terrible danger because of the key. She wakes up and decides to go and hide the key, ignoring the cat that tries to stop her from going outside. Coraline fails to notice the other mother's hand following her towards the well, where she was planning on throwing the key, and attacks her. Before it can succeed, YB shows up on his motorbike and falls into the well with the hand, but with Coraline's help manages to get out, and the two destroy the hand, throwing it alongside a ring down the well. He apologizes for not believing her and says that his grandma explained the situation to him, before revealing that the cat was the one who got YB to follow Coraline from the start. At the end of the movie, the neighborhood is at the Joneses' garden, where they're planting flowers. Meanwhile, the cat is sitting further away from them, at the entrance board to the Joneses' estate, before it stretches and disappears just as easy. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.